Shay Giagnorio loved her job. For 28 years, she worked for the Department of Health and Human Services in Kansas City. She helped families access vital services, and honestly, her work made a real difference. Then, the cuts came. On June 2nd, Shay received a pink slip. Her position, deemed non-essential, was eliminated. The news hit her hard, not just financially, but emotionally. The pride in her work, the stability she felt, just vanished overnight. Shay's story isn't about numbers on a balance sheet. It's about a single mom facing impossible choices. With a $117,000 salary gone, she worries about her mortgage, her bills, and her daughter's college fund. "How do I tell her?" Shay asks, her voice cracking. "How do I tell her that her dreams might be on hold?" Shay's story is not unique in Kansas City. The city, once a bustling hub for federal agencies, now faces an unprecedented crisis. Thousands of federal workers like Shay are losing their jobs. The impact goes far beyond individual families. The cuts are like a shockwave rippling through the local economy. Restaurants that once buzzed with lunchtime crowds are eerily quiet. Shops see fewer customers, their shelves gathering dust. The once reliable engine of federal employment has sputtered, leaving Kansas City reeling. The numbers are stark. An estimated 6,000 federal jobs are on the chopping block in Kansas City alone. These aren't just statistics, they represent real people, families struggling to put food on the table, and a community grappling with an uncertain future. The cuts are indiscriminate, impacting agencies across the board. The Department of Health and Human Services, where Shay worked, faces a reduced workforce and budget. Programs like Head Start, a lifeline for low-income families, are feeling the pinch. The Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, is also grappling with downsizing. Thousands of employees faced pressure to accept buyouts or early retirement. The result? Overcrowded offices, supply shortages, and a backlog of cases. Perhaps most concerning are the cuts to the Department of Agriculture. A $130,000 grant for a community garden and farmers market in Ivanhoe, a historically black neighborhood struggling with food insecurity, was abruptly revoked. Food banks across the city, already stretched thin, are seeing an increase in demand and a decrease in federal support. The impact of the cuts extends far beyond the steps of government buildings. Landlords like Amir Manufar are feeling the squeeze. With the Department of Energy canceling leases, Manufar is left with a vacant building and mounting expenses. "I might have to sell at a loss," he says, shaking his head. This wasn't in the plan. Even the sleek Tesla showroom in the city center isn't immune to the rising tide of discontent. Weekly protests, organized under the banner of Unplug Musk, have become a fixture. Activists, citing concerns about worker exploitation and the environmental impact of electric vehicles, are demanding a ban on direct car sales, a move that would force Tesla to close its Missouri showrooms. The protests, while seemingly unrelated to the federal cuts, highlight a growing sense of frustration and anxiety in Kansas City. The city feels like it's holding its breath, just waiting to see what domino falls next. The administration justifies the cuts as necessary measures to streamline government and reduce spending. They argue that agencies have become bloated and inefficient, and that taxpayers deserve a leaner, more cost-effective government. But on the ground in Kansas City, these arguments ring hollow. Efficiency shouldn't come at the cost of people's livelihoods, says Frank Lenk, director of the Mid-America Regional Council. These cuts are placing a huge burden on individuals, families, and the local economy. The fear is palpable. Folks are wondering, will there be enough food on the table? Will families be able to afford rent? Will the city be able to maintain essential services? The answers, for now, remain elusive, shrouded in a cloud of uncertainty. Across Kansas City, stories of struggle and resilience are emerging. John, a former IRS agent, is now working 2 part-time jobs to make ends meet. "It's not easy," he admits, "but I have to provide for my family." Sarah, a single mother who relies on food assistance programs, is worried about feeding her 2 young children. "The shelves at the food bank are looking bare," she says, her voice filled with anxiety. "I don't know what we're going to do." Despite the challenges, the spirit of Kansas City remains strong. Neighbors are helping neighbors. Community organizations are stepping up to fill the void left by shrinking government programs. The people of Kansas City are digging deep, drawing on their reserves of strength and determination. The future remains uncertain for many in Kansas City. Food banks, overwhelmed by demand, are struggling to keep up. Lines snake around the block, a stark visual reminder of the growing need. Laid-off workers are turning to side hustles and gig work to make ends meet. Some are going back to school, hoping to learn new skills for a changing job market. Others are leaving Kansas City altogether, seeking opportunities in other parts of the country. There's a quiet desperation in the air, a sense that the American dream, once so attainable, is slipping further out of reach. "I just want to provide for my family," says John, the former IRS agent. "I want my kids to have a better life than I had. But right now it feels impossible." The people of Kansas City are sending a clear message to their leaders. They need help, they need jobs, they need support, and they need hope. "These cuts are hurting real people," says Mayor Quinton Lucas. "We need the federal government to understand the devastating impact these decisions are having on our city." Kansas City is calling for investment, not austerity. They're calling for policies that prioritize people over profits, and for leaders who understand that a strong economy starts with a strong social safety net. The road ahead for Kansas City is uncertain. The city faces an uphill battle to recover from the devastating impact of the federal cuts. Will the city be able to attract new businesses and create jobs? Will families who lost their homes and livelihoods be able to rebuild their lives? Will the social fabric of the city, strained by economic hardship, be able to withstand the pressure? The answers to these questions remain to be seen. But one thing is certain: the people of Kansas City are resilient. They've faced challenges before, and they'll face this one together, with courage, determination, and an unwavering belief in their city's future.